Hello, everyone. I am Ben Parham, an Education Assistant at the Northeast Resource Recovery Association. I want to warmly welcome you to our summer webinar series. Today, we explore the messy truth about students and their garbage. Next slide, please. Do you need professional credits? You can receive 1 hour professional development credit by participating in this live webinar and completing the short survey at the end. Our webinars are being recorded and will be made available for those who registered. Continue your learning with these webinars all summer long. Please visit our new website at nrrarecycles.org for additional information. Next slide, please. Here's some information on our webinars. For recycling facility operators, we have our operator track webinars from which to choose from. Next slide. And for our educators, administrators, and community members, we have our community track webinars. We've separated our webinars according to probable interest groups, but all NRRA members and not yet members are welcome to participate in any and all of our webinar offerings. Next slide, please. I'd like to set the table for this GoToWebinar. Webinar participants will not be able to be heard by the presenters or other participants during this presentation. If you cannot hear the presenters' voices, please click the audio arrow in your control panel and choose computer audio. If that does not work, select the phone call option and follow the directions. We hope that you will ask questions and our presenters will do their best to answer them as time allows. Click on the question block in the control panel and type in your questions. Please keep questions short and to the point. I would also like to bring your attention to the handout for this webinar that can be found in the control console as well. You are welcome to view, download, or both. Next slide, please. Here's some information about the Northeast Resource Recovery Association. We are a recycling nonprofit. We have 400 members, primarily municipalities, and we were founded nearly 40 years ago. Next slide. So what do? We do cooperative marketing and purchasing. We enable communities to manage their own recycling programs and offer over 40 programs, including single stream and municipal solid waste. We connect sellers of recyclables to purchasers. Next slide. We provide education and technical assistance through workshops, facility tours, an annual conference, a school club, and of course, these summer webinars. Next slide, please. And now I would like to introduce our presenter for today, along with a surprise guest. Gwen Early is the in-house programs coordinator for the education department at NRRA. She oversees the day-to-day operation of the school recycling club, and today she has agreed to join us to provide her expertise in STAR assessment in school club curriculum. Our feature presenter for today is Cindy Sterling. Cindy joined NRRA after years of service as an educator, grant writer, and programs coordinator at the Windham Solid Waste Management District in Vermont. Prior to working in Vermont, she was a senior solid waste specialist for the Rural Community Assistance Partnership, a national organization based out of Washington, D.C. Among Cindy's areas of expertise are the connections between recycling and sustainability and both local and national curricular standards. Cindy joins us today to discuss the messy truth about students and their garbage. Thank you for being with us, Cindy and Gwen. On behalf of the NRRA, I'd like to welcome you to the summer webinar series and turn this presentation over to you. Welcome, Cindy.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much. Greetings, Gwen. So I'd like to just take a few seconds to reference the location and the characters in this slide. The location is the Lebanon, New Hampshire landfill, one of the few landfills still active in New Hampshire. The characters are students from my Keene State College Integrative Waste Management class. As an adjunct professor of geography for 7 years at Keene State College, I taught 2 integrative studies courses. Introduction to Geography allowed me to work with underclassmen, and the waste management in the 21st century provided me the opportunity to work with upperclassmen. Of course, I brought all my students into the field whenever I could, and what I loved best about teaching the integrative studies was that the courses were open to every student, regardless of their major. What I learned teaching an upper-level geography course, fondly referred to by the students as talking trash, was that every student was fascinated by learning the messy truth about their waste habits. Geography is a spatial science, which you all may know. It is a discipline that examines how and why both physical and cultural phenomena are what they are on the Earth's surface. And as geographers, we investigate why things differ from place to place, unique in some ways, but in other ways connected. Waste is universal and waste is connected. And that is the beauty of speaking to students and helping them learn the messy truth about their garbage. So back to the basics. As we look at average production generation of students, on average, students produce 1.5 pounds of waste every single day. And this is, taken from many studies, and they've come up with this as being the average amount. So if you're a high school with 535 students, that's 72 tons per year. If you need to bring it to something a little bit more tangible, it's equal to 5.5 school buses, or 9 elephants, or 11 killer whales on average. Good means to relate this information to your students. So the first question with any course, whether it's college students, high school students, elementary school students, is you need to know how many students are in your school. Because again, you could take that average of 1.5 pounds and you can get a pretty good idea, right? A baseline. And then from there, you can explore the messy truth a little bit more with different activities. So if we just wanted to use, for example, Keene State College. So they average about 5,000 students. We'll just give them 5,000. And you'd say 1.5 pounds, that's 7,500 pounds per year, or 3.75 tons. Good place to start. Good place to start figuring out how can we reduce this garbage if we want to. And that is where we always start with any of the curricula that you bring into the schools, whether it's my college curriculum or NRRA school club curricula. We calculate the waste generated through waste audits. For the purpose of today's presentation, I am concentrating again on the national mean. In the end, regardless of how you slice it, the largest pieces of the student waste pie are paper, organics, and plastic. Here we have a diagram of a waste that was calculated in 2010 for schools, student waste, and you can see organics, paper, and plastic, the green, yellow, and orange slices. A little bit later, around 2018, California also did a study, and this is what they came up with the average school waste stream percentages. Again, we have organics, paper, and plastic as the largest pieces of the pie. As you can see, the percentages, they may waver a tad, but they're always the largest portions. So we ask you, what are the major ingredients in your school's pie of student waste? Another question we ask is, where does your waste go? To quote Arthur Geddes, a professor emeritus of geography at San Diego State University, all human activities have effects on the environment, effects that are complex and never isolated. An external action that impinges on any part of the web of nature inevitably triggers chain reactions, the ultimate consequences of which appear never to be fully anticipated. This is one of the preliminary questions for assessing waste management practices. Where your waste goes defines the various steps that must be employed to reduce trash and make it disappear in the most sanitary way possible. Therefore, in order to understand what happens to trash when you throw it away, it's important to weigh all the options and know about the processes of recycling, composting, and converting waste to energy, as well as what does it cost to ship the waste. And what about pay as you throw? Many communities in the United States and abroad pay for the trash in the same way that they pay for their electricity, based on the amount they use. or in this case, the amount of trash they produce. This payment system is commonly referred to as a unit-based pricing, where a person pays a certain fee for each bag, a volume unit, or for each pound, a weight unit of trash they throw away. These systems are also known as variable rate pricing, pay as you throw, user pay, or SMART, which stands for save money and reduce trash. While these terms share the same meaning, not all of the unit-based pricing systems are structured the same. However, any of your pay as you throw or UBP system, it charges the household for a per unit fee. A very common fee is $2 per bag. So by doing this, just as with water use, electrical use, you are sending a price signal to your waste generators that the more trash they produce, the more they will have to pay. Easy math, simple way again to get people to understand the messy truth about their garbage. If they see that they're paying a lot of money for their trash, they're going to start looking at ways that they can reduce their trash. Just as if you're spending a lot of money on water or electricity, you're going to start looking at ways to try to conserve. Awareness, responsibility, behavior modification. So the benefits to paying as you throw include cost control. If your community or local haulers do not offer such a system, trash fees are not being fairly applied. People who produce little trash and those that are aggressive recyclers, the low volume users, are required to pay the same amount as everyone else. So with a UBP or pay as you throw system, customers who produce more trash pay more. This is why it's important for your school. What does it mean for you? It's a cost control. If your school is also looking to reduce costs, some communities have found significant solid waste cost savings after initiating such a system. A flat fee structure, they do not send a price signal, thereby making disposal easy and encouraging overuse of solid waste services. And waste reduction and improved environmental quality. According to the US EPA, a unit-based pricing system has proven to be the single most measurably effective way to reduce residential solid waste, increase recycling, and decreasing waste-related greenhouse gas emissions. So in your school, a place of learning, this is a wonderful, again, way to look at the messy truth. Look at the dumpsters that you're using. What is the cost of those dumpsters? Again, budgets are tight all across the board. A nice way to save money for your school community is assessing your waste management contract and the costs. So School Club is a way that we help, NRRA helps people, schools, feel as though they are not alone in making these decisions, right? And figuring out your waste, what type of waste you have, what your generation amount is, what your contract is, where is your waste going. The NRRA School Club was established to help schools wade through the solid waste muck and forge a suitable path. And here I'm going to turn it over to Gwen, the program coordinator of NRRA for the last 8 years, and she'll tell you a little bit more about the NRRA School Club services.
Thank you, Cindy, and welcome everyone to our webinar this afternoon. This slide just represents some of the things we do at the club. You'll see that we offer school workshops. We have a newsletter that we put out during the school year. We have technical assistance programs that Cindy will be going into a little more thoroughly. And we usually have an annual conference. Of course, this year, everything turned upside down with the COVID-19. We have had to do virtual workshops to finish out our school year while schools were still in session. And we had to cancel our annual school conference, which resulted in us being able to produce this wonderful summer webinar series. We also produced 9 shift lessons supporting home instruction program. It's 9 free lessons that we put up on our school website that teachers and parents can use. It's all about recycling, and each lesson includes a lesson from our curricula. They've got a craft, sometimes a video, and relevant information tying to each lesson. We're very proud to offer these programs and to have them up there. They're still up there for free for the time being, so feel free to access them. So we've pivoted successfully, I think, from this pandemic for now. Membership is free in the club to all New Hampshire schools, thanks to New Hampshire the Beautiful. However, schools can join for free if their municipality is a member of NRRA. Also, waste management districts in Vermont, your schools are available for free membership in the club. However, it's not that expensive to join. If you have a school that wants to join and is not part of the NRRA municipality, they can join for just 7 cents per student. We don't think that's too much of a hardship, and in many cases, we've been able to get a PTO or recycling committee to support that membership. So we will find a way for you if you would like to contact us. If you're not already a member, you may not even know you're a member. We'll look it up. We'll make sure that we can get you in for free, or we'll try and connect you with those resources. So take a look at our new website and look at the resources we have up there, and we have lots to offer. So thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, Gwen. All right, so just to go in a little bit more, again, ways in which students can learn the messy truth about their garbage. The NRRA classroom workshops, which you see here on the left, are designed for use in standard classroom settings, and most can be tailored to fit the curriculum and development needs of any class, grades K through 12. The workshops are also a great staff development tool and work well as the focus of a green team meeting or a recycling club after-school event. Workshops are generally 40 minutes long, but they can be modified to fit any classroom period. Sometimes they may take a couple of classrooms. As Gwen noted, the curriculum that NRRA has a lot of lesson plans and then additional activities that will take that lesson further into further study for continuing days. So as much as possible, the programs are experiential and hands-on in nature, and the NRRA School Recycling Club staff can assist with identifying the curriculum standards associated with each program. The technical assistance programs, the ones that are over here on the right column, they are designed to work at a larger school-wide level and focus on the big picture problems and solutions. Because of the nature of these programs, they tend to take more time and work best when as many stakeholders at the school participate. At the lower grade levels, these programs are often organized by teachers and staff, but in the upper grade levels, we encourage the students to take the leading role as a truly service learning leadership opportunity at their school. So the workshops are in the classroom specific to that classroom need and what they're studying. School technical assistance programs make the difference school community wide, pulls in all the stakeholders. And wouldn't it be nice then to reduce from 9 elephants to 4.2 elephants by taking part in the technical assistance programs and the classroom workshops that all explore and investigate garbage and the environment. It also helps you save money and earn money potentially. You know, the recycling markets go up and down, but in a way, you're always saving money by avoided disposal costs. You can reduce, right? You figure out how you can reduce the waste. Maybe you figure out a way that you can reuse your waste and it's no longer waste. And as well, the recycling. And the recycling is the part that is, you know, fluctuates with whatever the markets are doing. And as we know, because of COVID-19, a lot of the programs have been put on hold in schools, but once school gets back, they will be up and running again, as well as whatever students learn in school, you know, they take it home. So they can still make practice and learn about the messy truth about their garbage at home. We did have a few questions that had come in before the webinar started, and so I'll take a moment and just discuss the answers to some of those. So the first question was, With COVID-19 and many schools opting to hold lunch in classrooms, any advice on how best to keep recycling going? When I spoke to you earlier about the technical assistance programs, we have that IAQ, the Indoor Air Quality and Green Cleaning Program, which Gwen runs as the program coordinator. And recently she listened to a bunch of EPA IAQ webinars. And so in the series of the recent EPA IAQ webinars, classroom meals are expected to be the norm. Cafeterias and gyms are not only being closed, but being used as storage for excess desks and chairs resulting from social distancing requirements in the classroom. Custodians will likely collect the food waste directly from the classrooms as part of their integrated pest management program. Some schools will operate under a hybrid model, so both trash and recycling volumes should decrease. The IAQ webinars put out by EPA stress the importance of cleaning the desktops and high-touch areas continuously and recommended that keeping students in the same classroom at the same desk will help contain the spread of bacteria. Teachers are being asked to assist with spot cleaning and decluttering of ventilation areas. The added burden on the maintenance staff makes it uncertain about implementing new recycling or composting programs. It is our hope that systems already in place will be maintained. And as I mentioned earlier, the indoor air quality program that NRRA has does just this. We go into the school, we speak to the custodians about their cleaning products, we help them find greener ways of cleaning and also assess the method of cleaning to make sure that it's efficient and effective. Another question that came in regarding the before this webinar had to do with how will schools be handling recycling this fall? So recently I was watching a news program and it was about schools reopening, and they mentioned that a school, it could have been a bunch of schools, that they will only be offering prepared meals. So meaning much more packaging and related waste, and more than likely less opportunity for composting and thoughtful recycling. So we can hear that this is like all over the board here. We hope that the recycling is going to maintain what is already going on. We're finding out that due to some transitions of meal preparation, there will be more packaging. Some of that packaging hopefully is recyclable. If it's not, it will be wasted. Maybe some of that packaging could be compostable, and that will help with the students continuing their compost programs if they have one already going on or would like to start one. So it's nothing's being frozen. As I mentioned earlier, the recycling market is a fluctuation, and so I think we're just going to see a lot of fluctuation going on, but hopefully folks will get back into the groove and have a little normalcy having to do with recycling and composting in their schools. There was another question that had to do with cafeteria and classroom eating details, and the school hasn't yet, the school supervisory union has not even put up the information yet regarding those details. And so that's making teachers a little bit nervous, I would suspect, as well as the staff of the schools. But again, thinking about the IAQ, the indoor air quality steps, green cleaning, and trying to keep the norm. Also thinking about the packaging. If the students are bringing their waste, their food into school, lots more lunches coming from home, that is also an opportunity to teach about the waste that they will be producing. Bring it in reusable containers, see how little waste can be produced from the student's lunch. So we'll just move on. Again, many different ways to make solid waste management a part of your school curriculum. Integrated solid waste management. We integrate many different ideas. So today, I'd like to start with really highlighting the technical assistance program the star of sustainability. And the reason I'm highlighting this today, because it is the perfect first step for helping students learn about their garbage, helping schools assess their recycling programs. It's one of NRRA's technical assistance programs, and it is part of the complementary package that Gwen had spoken to previously. So the STAR assessment is NRRA's proprietary school recycling inventory and review. It was developed for NRRA by Heather Greenwood in collaboration with Antioch University, New England, and it provides a comprehensive quantitative and qualitative report on a school's recycling and waste reduction efforts in 5 key areas. And you can see those 5 areas: collection, education, participation, motivation, and evaluation. And we'll review all of those today. So the STAR assessments take roughly an hour. It's depending on, the school size, and to complete it. And then we have to have access to the entire school when we do it. The report provides clear, unbiased suggestions and areas for improvement, as well as a baseline data for future examination of your school's recycling program. And this is why it's a great event for the fall, because you can have the STAR of sustainability, do the assessment in your school at the beginning of the year, figure out your plan of action, and then you can check out what's happening at the end of the year and see where you may have improved and made changes to your recycling and waste management, integrated waste management systems in your school. As mentioned earlier, some of these technical assistance programs are great to involve the upper class students. So, if you have a green team or a recycling team of students or teachers, it's a nice way to get them involved in organizing and looking at the messy truth about their garbage habits. So it provides a baseline for school recycling. And I'm going to let Gwen take it away on this one to explain it in more detail. Thank you, Gwen.
Thanks, Cindy. So what is the purpose of the STAR assessment? Well, here's a list of things. We want to take a look at what your school is currently doing with their trash and recycling. We're going to measure the involvement of your staff and the students. We're going to make suggestions for improvement by reducing waste and increasing recycling. We're going to set goals for the future. We're going to instruct your students on the importance of recycling to environmental stewardship. And we're going to try and save you money by reducing your hauling costs. This is basically the nuts and bolts of everything that you're doing at your school. We'll help you save money by reducing costs. We have seen schools that have as little as 1 teacher who is passionate about recycling and drives their program, up to a whole culture of teachers that are involved with their school recycling, and passionate students who are also involved. That's the sort of involvement we'll be looking at. We'll look at the kinds of systems you have, if you have them. If you have colored bins, are they co-located? Are your trash bins all together? Whether you have student monitors to make sure the right thing goes into the right bin, especially during the lunch hours. We'll offer baby steps for getting your program going. If you're just starting out, we have a wonderful Team Earth activity guide on our website that offers small steps that you can take for your class to get involved in recycling before you're ready to launch your program. And again, if you're a member of NRRA and you join the Team Earth program, you'll get points for those activities that you complete. And you'll be awarded levels of bronze, silver, and gold. So that's an incentive to your students and keeps them interested. We all know about the problem of the global impact of plastics. Most of the kids are already aware of this. We hear it from them all the time. We add to the fact that there are leachates that are coming out of some of the landfills and what that does to our water. They're always surprised to learn that you can recycle an aluminum can forever and ever. These are just some of the things that they learn through the feedback from these, not only the STAR assessment, but other technical programs that we have. And finally, we want to let the kids know what it costs. As Cindy was saying, it costs less to haul recycling than trash. So if you can save your school or your school district money, there's a possible opportunity for funding. We've had some schools that actually return that money to the student body, and the body would elect to do something with regard to recycling. Some of them get those drinking fountains that actually record the number of trees you're saving by using a reusable container for your water. So we like to involve the kids. We love it when we can give back to them. We love it when a school is involved with its local transfer station, because sometimes it takes that kind of partnership to get those kinds of recycling rewards coming back to you. So I'll leave the rest of it to Cindy to go through the details in the next few slides. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to start showing you the pages of our slides here. So we have the pre-assessment. This is what can be done ahead of time. We don't have to be on site to do this. We can easily just make a few phone calls. We start off by reviewing the town's recycling and diversion efforts. As Gwen just mentioned, we really try to strengthen that bond between the town and Gown whenever possible. So first, we're identifying all the key school staff and contact information. We're identifying the town stakeholders. We've had lots of input from town recycling committees that have been very interested in helping with the school recycling program. So sometimes they're that link between the town and Gown. Other times, doing a trip to the transfer station, maybe the school will bring the recyclables to the transfer station, and they can, again, another nice outdoor activity field trip for the students is go to the transfer station and to see how the recyclables are being processed, as well as inviting your town transfer station attendant to come to the school and possibly give an assessment of what is the school doing to help with the whole programs in the town. So again, that calculating the school waste potential based on what can happen within the town, and then what do they need to do that maybe the town can't be involved in that needs to be shipped elsewhere. Then we look at the collection aspect. So we explore the waste and recycling dumpster capacities, what is being collected in all areas of the school, from classroom to kitchen to library to so forth. And this helps us identify what areas produce what kinds of trash or recycling. Looking at the containers and the signage, because this is a place, if you really pay attention to your containers and signage, you can make a huge improvement in your recycling rate. So all of these were right now just assessing our pre-assessment, who are the stakeholders, what's happening in the town. Collection is straight up going around, noticing what materials are being collected, what do the containers look like, where are those containers located. Here we have a slide of a couple of the collection methods. So as we're doing this start, like I said, we'll make little notes about the way, like what are your trash and recycling practices? Who are your vendors and haulers? Do you have containers both inside and outside the school building? Who helps and what role do they play when it comes to emptying the containers, organizing them, cleaning them, creating the signage, purchasing them? Another thing with the collection is, just really looking at, is that container in a really good spot for collection, or should it be moved? And this simply talks to the education. Education must be a major component in any approach that has as its aim the influencing of people to behave intentionally and intelligently in environmentally beneficial ways. Dr. Nickerson, just to give you who he is, he was a research interests include cognition, human factors, and applied experimental psychology. His recent work at Tufts has focused primarily on probabilistic reasoning. And so you can take this probabilistic reasoning, you can put it all the way to analyzing climate change by looking at future changes in population size, composition, and then spatial distribution. But it doesn't have to be climate change. It could be your waste, your integrated waste management system, changes in population, composition, and the spatial distribution, as we just previously spoke to. the distribution of your containers. As simple as that. Education, though, is key, as we know, in schools. In the classroom, we're looking at how the students are making those signs. Are there signs next to those containers? Are the signs easy to read and to understand? We here, and while I have it circled, we have our very first star. So you'll see that to the right of that oval. The stars give you a little bit of bonus points. So the students may be doing an average job with their education, but they get a star if they're educating other students, like maybe as a cafeteria monitor. So if we go around and you're looking at, the signage, it's like, yeah, it's average. Maybe they don't have a lot of signs up or not in the proper places where they could really make a difference, but they have someone in that cafeteria every single day helping the students divert their organic waste from the regular waste. So they would earn a little extra star, which gives bonus points as we're doing the analysis. So again, posters, projects, lesson plans, competitions, vermiculture, worms in the classroom are always a lot of fun. That's education in the classroom. And then we look at, here we have some samples of education around the school. Good, clear signage. There's also the education at the collection sites. So as I mentioned earlier, how are those signs? Can people understand what is exactly going to go into that bin? Here we have the TerraCycle program. We have a little composting bucket program, clear poster, and then we have a classroom. It looks like it's a library or something, a classroom system all set up for sorting with signage. I'm gonna see if Gwen, because you really work with these schools and get right in there and have lots of examples to share. So do you have anything more to say about these creative and personalized collection bins?
No, I actually saw all of those, so they were very interesting. But there was one. We went to an elementary school. I think you were with me, Cindy, and they had built a little monster head on the top of their recycling bin for paper. It just made it more fun for the kids to throw their paper into the monster's mouth and stuff. So again, on the right-hand side there, that's an eagle that they made. It was a TerraCycle program, which I think has been discontinued now. But they were collecting the juice pouches. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that they have good signage there. They have bins co-located together. It's much more likely that students will sort their trash and recycling properly if all the bins are together. And then again, the compost bin there in the cafeteria. And they have a full list there of things that are allowed. But we found that visual aids are helpful too. So if you show a picture of like a rotten egg or a can with a line through it saying don't throw your cans in here, that's helpful for students as well. But these are all good examples. Thanks, Cindy.
And other things that we look at, with education at the collection sites are, is it irregular or inconsistent signs? Are there the majority of them at the waste stations that I already mentioned? Recycling monitors, like I mentioned, the one in the cafeteria. Sometimes, is there a recycling monitor that's at each semester, like at the beginning of each semester in key locations to help educate students to get into the groove of it. So we give the school different stars for those types of stuff, like the signage or the recycling monitors, any other beautiful and unique ways that they are educating their classroom and their classmates. Another part of the education that we look at in the STAR assessment, as we're saying, we're trying to get this to go beyond the teacher and the student and just the class, is to look at the stakeholder groups. So when we're educating the stakeholders, it is a key element of the STAR assessment because it identifies who is receiving the recycling education, how often, if they have those signs available at the recycling points, and then ultimately which stakeholders are having the most impact. So as you can see here in the oval area, is it students or staff administration, faculty, facilities manager, food services, parents, and the community, and again, bringing in the municipality and the town. So beyond just the students and what's happening in the classroom or just what's happening at the collection station. And then education, these go a little bit bigger. Sometimes you have a recycling corner. Maybe there's workshops that are being held, whether they're, school assemblies, maybe there's people that come in and do the workshops like NRRA would do. We like to also see if people are updating the progress, sending letters home, again, bringing in the community to this program. So there's a lot of people buying into it and helping out with it. And then the recycling protocol reminders, how often are you getting that information out? It could be simply as your morning school announcements and reminding everyone about special events that will be going on, or maybe update them on your recycling numbers, new collection sites. Let's see, anything else to add? Good story to share again. I think Gwen has some great stories to share, so I'm going to pass it to her again.
Well, I did have one story I wanted to share with everyone because it just really thrilled me. I was at a local school, an elementary school, and we had done a STAR workshop or a STAR assessment for them along with some workshops. But I was walking through the grounds doing my STAR assessment, collecting my data for that, and it just amazed me. They had this beautiful school garden outside that was all fenced in, had chickens and stuff. And what they did is they had the kids collect their food waste from the cafeteria. That was put into a compost bin, and the compost was used to fertilize the garden. And the garden also had chickens which were fed from the food waste and grain. And then the chickens would produce the eggs, which were collected and brought into the cafeteria. And the eggs were used for breakfast for the kids. And then the eggshells would go back into the compost bin. So it really was a full circle illustrating for the kids how everything works together. I thought it was most impressive, and I gave them a big star and a lot of fives and bonus points on that one. So just an example. Thanks, Cindy.
And participation. So, you can see how they sort of blend together, right? The collection, the bins, the signage. Well, of course, that's part of education. And then we're talking about educating in the classroom and educating the stakeholders. And that runs into who's participating. So here we have more stars, bonus stars as part of the participation. So this though goes a little bit further because it scales the stakeholder groups. It looks at the school culture and the support groups. So such as your recycling club or your PTA, PTO, PTA. So we're giving the star this time rewarding the particular recyclers. So for example, there may be a food service person who takes the food waste home from the compost pile, or as like Gwen spoke just about the chickens, right? Something that you have a person taking it from the school into the community. You might have anything from, organizing assemblies like we talked about, who's organizing the assemblies or a poster contest. Who's carrying the recycling bins to the larger recycling containers that are outdoors. So all of that, looking at and ranking the effectiveness of each person who takes part in the recycling program. So we have the participation of the stakeholders. Again, I mentioned emptying bins, sorting materials, planning event, organizing fundraisers, leading workshops, advising the club, writing articles, holding competitions, and just continuing to remind people to recycle. Also, that could be reduce and reuse. We have the participation of the club. So if you don't have a club, then this is why it's nice to have this done in the beginning of the school year, because you can plan. If you're getting the low points, for not having a club, this is a good opportunity to form a club, and giving them just a few of these little activities to do. Your NRRA club, right? You can even get bonus points for being part of the NRRA club. And Gwen spoke to that, as well as the handout that we have available for today's webinar. Talks about becoming a club member, networking with other schools. This is really important, and actually we're going to start a club listserv to get the schools to network with one another, because they feel free, call NRRA for some information, research online, go to the recycling, our website, but really what one school is doing helps what another school is doing, little tidbits. It's really nice to hear the schools share what they have solved for any of their integrated waste management strategies, problems. We also like to tell you to update your student handbook. Again, this is back with like what's happening at a different level. The handbook, student government, tasks, holding those regular meetings, again, planning the activities, celebrations, coming around to evaluating your program, putting it into the mission statement, the bylaws of your school itself, again, back to that student handbook, or maybe even the staff training material, and knowing what your goals are. So that's stuff that, again, participation with the club and the school culture. Giving stars, bonus stars for all of that as well. We move into motivation. So again, motivation, if everyone's participating, but how are we motivating them? It's measured by the efforts as a poster contest, assemblies, speakers, and celebrations, as well as coming back again to that goal setting, possibly giving awards, doing some incentives for that. So if you're looking at the goals, the material that you're collecting, how do you increase your participation? Are there educational components that you really want to include? How can you decrease the waste stream? How can you eliminate your material? So those could be some goals that you set in your motivation that, again, you're going to be working on throughout the school year. The incentives could be profit sharing, awards, scholarships, community service hours. Nice way, because I know a lot of upperclassmen need to have some community service hours. Why not get involved in either their town recycling program or the school recycling program? And then the last one here is conference participation, and that is NRRA's school conference that happens every year in May, but as Gwen mentioned, it's been shifted a little bit, and that's one reason why we're doing this webinar, and it's part of the summer webinar series. So participating in the conference, you would get bonus points for that on this page of our STAR assessment. And it's easy this year to participate in the conference because you can listen to any of the recorded webinars any time of day, any day of the year. Another part of the motivation is events and celebration. I'll beat that one to death because, again, having these visible events and celebrations, that's going to motivate people. It's going to make it fun, make managing your waste fun. Yes, you have your research. You have to figure out your container sizes and what you have for trash, do your waste audit. But that waste audit can even be a fun event. We have the Trash on the Lawn Day, which is another one of our technical assistance programs. And that is when we do an all-day waste audit, and we get the entire school involved with sorting the waste that's been collected a few days prior to when the event is going to happen. So another way, again, to motivate people, competitions, assemblies, performances, celebrations, make it fun, celebrate what you're doing with recycling and reducing your waste. Evaluation comes last. So now we've looked at all of those sections, all of those points to the STAR. The evaluation is going to identify the strengths and weaknesses of your program. It goes on to suggest areas of improvement and possible next steps that a school might undertake. So here we have the more traditional STAR for going above and beyond, and we take the time to identify the strengths and weaknesses as areas to promote or improve upon. What is next? Again, setting those goals, making sure you're planning, and then you're reaching those goals, whether they're short-term or long-term goals. Increasing your club membership could be very simple. Starting a club, adding materials to what you're collecting. Maybe you need to reorganize the cafeteria, what food is being served on, what portions of food, everything that can do with food waste in your cafeteria. Again, your mission statement, lesson plans, keeping the lesson plans going in the classroom throughout the year. It's very easy to tie in waste management, integrated solid waste management methods into reading, math, science, art, design, pretty much every single class subject. Earth Day celebrations are always a big one. And again, planning that waste audit. We like to start when I say about the STAR assessment, we tie those two together. We will do a STAR assessment and the TOLD. It's traditional. I mean, it doesn't have to happen, but usually if we're doing that waste audit, the TOLD, we will do the STAR assessment while we're there that day as well. Because again, now you have these two beautiful pieces that you can start putting your plan together for the school year. And then this is what happens at the end. All of this, all those numbers and bonus points for stars and how you rated 1 to 5 on evaluation, collection, education, participation, and motivation come together in an algorithm to create this star of sustainability. Again, showing that it's interconnected, your processes, how efficient you are, and the value of your waste. The results are produced in this graphic of the 5 elements. And we're doing all of this for sustainability because it is the ultimate goal. And we do give you a write-up, the general summary of how you might best meet any of your goals or improve any of these points in the future. As you can see, this particular school was doing great with their collection, fairly good with motivation and education, but evaluation, maybe they're not going back and looking at what they're doing. It's going into the future, looking to the future to evaluate their program, what's working, what's not. And then the participation is okay, but it's still a little low. So they may have a lot of plans in place to motivate, but maybe no one's really participating in what they're doing to motivate. Could be low participation there. This also is just a picture of a part of the report we give you. So we give you your recycling assessment results for your star of sustainability. And you can see it in the table format. So collection, education, participation, motivation, and evaluation, the points you scored, that percentage, and then the graphic description. Another way, looking at a little bit clearly, so if you have like a 75 to 100 in any of your percentages, that's a super sustainable school, keep it up. 50 to 74, it's a good job, but there's still room to improve. 25 to 49, the school shows initiative, but would benefit from greater stakeholder support, and that's usually what we find when you get into that 25 to 49 range. It's because there's not enough stakeholders in the program. And then 0 to 24, limited sustainability is in place, and how can we help? Now again, this is objective. You may not be able to do more due to your school size, school environment. We don't want to think of it as like a competition in a sense, or like punishment. Oh, you're not doing that great. We rate what we see as we're going through all of these points of the star, and then it's up to you, up to the school to say, well, yeah, this is the best that we can do with motivation because that's just what we have available to us. It's all for your planning purposes. Although I must say we have saved schools a lot of money by helping them to improve their recycling and reduce their waste, because they were no longer paying for 3 dumpsters. They could narrow it down to 2 dumpsters. Sometimes they had a contract for a dumpster that they weren't even using, that they just forgot about, but it was a part of the contract and they were paying for it. And so that is something that we do in the beginning of that pre-assessment portion. We also look at your hauler contract and try to find ways to help you reduce the cost on that end of things. And here we just have a collage of pictures. This is the trash on the lawn day that I told you about, which is the waste audit that we like to do, as we're also going to be coming in to do the STAR assessment. And basically, the students here, when they do this waste audit, they come away with a lot of information. They are more insightful about their messy truth with their garbage. And again, thank you. This is the Northeast Resource Recovery Association, and we would like to thank the USDA for providing funding for us to be able to do this program. And bringing it to Ben.
Yes, thank you, Cindy and Gwen. That was a great presentation, very insightful and informative. And I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience did as well. Just being mindful of time today, I would like to move along this webinar. I would like to thank our sponsors of the summer webinar series. We'd like to thank Interstate Refrigerant Recovery Incorporated, Schnitzer, and the USDA. I want to remind everyone that the post-webinar survey will launch immediately after this webinar. It will also appear in your email inbox tomorrow. As a reminder, we welcome feedback. Next slide, please. Our webinar series will continue next week on Wednesday, August 5th, when we will discuss legislative updates in Massachusetts and Vermont with Kathy Jameson from the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation and Ariella Lovett, a legislative analyst with the Mass Municipal Association. Then on Friday, August 7th, Ollie Coltrera, a former ECO AmeriCorps member at the Addison County Solid Waste District in Middlebury, Vermont, and Cassandra Hemingway, who is the outreach manager of the Central Vermont Waste District Project, will be with us to explore the 6R, repair. Thank you all for attending and have a happy summer.